Okay, so today we're going to be speaking to Sheridan Genrich. She's from Australia and she's a clinical nutritionist and naturopath, right? She's been doing this for 11 years and has a lot of expertise in this area. She works in a clinical setting. That means she's helping people with this knowledge every day, and she's agreed to share some of that knowledge with us here today. And the key point that we're going to be looking at is, it's 2021, new year, and we have the setting that we want to be healthier. But how do we get healthier? We've done it over and over every year, again and again, and some people just fall back. So let's ask Sheridan, who has a special angle to the whole topic of losing weight. And also, there's a secret why a lot of people who try to lose weight just always fall back and don't manage to either keep it off or really lose it. So welcome, Sheridan, and let's speak about the topic, how to start eating healthy in 2021.
Thanks, Herman. So usually I'm actually trying to add things into people's eating plan, and that's usually in the form of vegetables, and also making sure that their protein requirements match their body weight. So it's personalizing it. And the key part of increasing vegetables, usually some of the first questions I'm asking people is if they've got the right tools at home. Because if they only have a microwave and a fry pan, for example, then the types of vegetables that they're going to make could be quite limited to the sources that they're going to add into their foods. So I probably would just suggest that one of the most important tools to get started, because you want to set yourself up for success, right? You don't want to just kind of have these ideas but not have the very first steps to put into place. I was at the farmer's market this morning, and people go and buy all their foods, but if they go home and don't know how to make the most of them or make them flavoursome, then I know they're not probably going to stick with these tips. The most important the most important tool I recommend for people to get is a blender. So it's not always something that everyone has, but either a high-speed blender or even at a bare minimum a Vitamix or Ninja or something like that. So something that you could make a sauce out of the vegetables that is family-friendly. So you could then feed it, to everyone, not just cooked veggies plain with, a processed store-bought sauce. So that would be the first one. Have you got a blender?
Okay, so we're saying we're not gonna take away stuff. We're actually gonna add more good stuff. And basically, what's important is if you want to do this, you want to have the right tools to actually, process your foods. Okay, so now we have the setup. What can you suggest people do? What should they add? So and when should they add it? Are we talking about adding more vegetable to people who eat 6 times a day, or are we talking about adding more healthy stuff to people who don't have breakfast in the morning, have a busy day at work? So how does the framework look like?
Yeah, and that's where I try and fit into what someone's willing to do at this point. Everyone has a readiness for change that is a bit different. So some people come to see me that have really advanced knowledge and are already doing a lot of the things that I suggest. For those people, it's adding vegetables every meal that they're having, just a handful even of extra vegetables. But for some people, they're only eating once or twice a day, but what they're eating is really inflammatory, nutrient poor, processed foods, high sugars in the form of different types of carbs. Then for those people, I would still be suggesting vegetables, but just depending on what their schedule is. So the timing is important to some degree, but it's also what someone is realistically willing to do at this point. So we could use you as an example if you want. Like, when would you be eating? What time of the day? How many
Okay, so I usually wake up quite early. First thing I do is have a coffee to wake up, and then I usually go out and have my first bite of bread or breakfast around 10.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so for that kind of situation, I would still be saying, okay, if you love your ritual of coffee, keep that in place. And then at the first meal, what we missed getting told, and I grew up in a family where we didn't have vegetables for breakfast, so I'm not like used to that either. But when we wait until dinner time to add vegetables into our family meals, we're putting a lot of pressure on that meal to get, the 5 servings of vegetables in. So if we could then spread them out, it's more realistic. So, for example, if you've got the time on the weekend to make a pancake, and it was just a blender pancake, and you could add vegetables into it, make those pancakes up, and then the first meal of the day should be some vegetables and some protein. So instead of your bread, you're taking a pancake out and either heating it up in whatever you've got at work, or even a toaster at home, for example. So it's really easy to kind of create that similar brain habit that you've got with the bread, but you're actually putting either zucchini or some silver beet or kale or things. I mean, I do make kid-friendly pancakes, but they are pimped up with vegetables and protein. So
Okay,
yeah.
so basically what you're saying, I can go with that because it reminds me of when I see Japanese breakfast, and I'm always like, wow, that looks like something I would have for lunch. So basically,
Uh-huh.
you're saying to add those vegetables already to my breakfast because it's quite a toll on the body or on us to get all of the vegetable servings in if we just do it, let's say, for dinner or just for lunch. And the best
Yes.
way, if I understood you right, is to make a pancake because I can mishmash everything into that pancake
Hmm.
mix and just fry it up and most probably even eat it with butter or peanut butter and some jelly. I mean, I love veggies with jelly in a pancake. Um, so that's a really good idea. So is your key point because you said instead of bread. Um, so do I take it that going, not leaving it out, but taking it a little bit more lightly, the bread side, is that something you would advise people if they really want to get into losing weight?
The key part about breakfast is how we break the fast. So it's not about breaking the fast with cereals and breads, which is good if you're a food manufacturer and you want to create a business model where someone's hungry every 2 hours and they keep buying food constantly. Carbohydrates are a fast burning fuel source, so they're purely there for energy. They don't help support the repair of muscles, the stability of hormones, and what protein and fat do, and vegetables for the gut bacteria. That combination is much more nourishing and stabilizing for someone to get through the day functioning with their brain at full performance, as well as keeping them feel full. You'll feel full a lot longer on protein and fat with a little bit of carbs. But the most common thing I see with people having breakfast is how they're breaking it, and it's usually just with carbohydrates. So it's not the formula to make someone feel full for long enough or support the rest of the physiology in the body.
Okay,
So
so that's interesting. So basically, on a nutrition scale, the carbs, that's just really purely just engine, but and power. And if we don't need that much power, what does our body do? It saves it. It turns it into fat and stores it in the muscle tissue, right? So my
yeah.
question here is could that be the reason? I heard somewhere, I heard a rumor that if you put butter into your coffee in the morning instead of milk, that should be nutritious in a way. Is that maybe linked their argument, their train of thought? Because you said that proteins and fats are actually much more nutritious and more valuable to be breaking your fast. Because ironically,
Yeah.
that's what breakfast means, right? Breaking your
Yes,
fast. Okay.
exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You got it. So it's how we're using this languaging. Um, to answer the question about adding coffee to, like adding butter to the coffee, I would actually suggest that that would be useful if someone has the other foundations in place. It's not the quick fix formula that's going to help them be healthy long term and even short term. So if someone's missing the vegetable intake for the day, putting butter in their coffee isn't going to help the rest of their goal become real. So I would suggest that becoming metabolically flexible. It's a topic we can talk about in the future, but metabolic flexibility will help someone that is doing some time restricted feeding or some like coffee with MCT oil or something like that. That's going to be that for their stage. If someone's not metabolically flexible and they increase the fat in their diet but don't change a lot of other things, then they can store fat or they'll lose weight very short term, but they'll actually increase inflammation in the body. So inflammation can go up, and it's not where I would start as like the first step. So
All right.
yeah,
So
breaking
I
down.
just want to put this in simple man's layman's text, because why I brought this up is because the low carb thing is a thing for people out there. It started with Atkins, and people thought like, hey, if I eat a lot of fat, I go into ketosis, and then my body's just burning fat, and I can lose weight. But so a lot of people, however, like you said, if they don't do these things right, if they don't have the proper framework, then you're not actually doing anything good to your body. And you're speaking about inflammation here. So I can imagine that that's like a stress reaction of the body, because you didn't balance out the setting to start changing your metabolic foundation. So anybody
Yeah.
out there who heard this coffee butter thing, because I was thinking about it, or I'm thinking that low carb is awesome and it just means eating more fat and less carbs. Listen to what Sheridan's saying, because the way I understand it, you're saying you should really go about first working on the quality and then
Mm.
on the quantity. And
Yes.
what you're saying is, it's easiest thing is just to add stuff. You don't have to start taking away and breaking down your world, but rather just start by adding some really good nutritious stuff in the morning, like some vegetables, some protein, some healthy fats. Mix it
Mm.
up, make yourself a pancake, or make yourself these oatmeal cookies, um, or a
Smoothies are great.
smoothie.
Mm.
There you go. Okay, so
Yeah.
and you said metabolic flexibility. Is that something that we start developing as we move forward, or is that something we can put aside now?
Yeah, it's a big topic. I think we'll have to spend a lot more time devoted to it. But in a nutshell, we've got to transition from being a dominantly carbohydrate burner to being a fat burner. And that doesn't happen at the switch of the light, so you need to get the foundations right. Our fat tissue, our fat cells store toxins. So when we store toxins and we start to lose weight, if we don't have the channels of elimination working properly, then those toxins can make someone feel terrible, and they will not be able to sustain. I'm all about lifestyle. So is this a lifestyle based on sound principles from ancient science, ancient wisdom, and things that have stood the test of time? Because anyone can lose weight by just cutting things out, but you're not going to sustain it, and you could actually set yourself up for some kind of roller coaster.
Speaking about the
So
roller coaster, that's really good, because I think this is the part where most people jump off and they get afraid. This is like the test of life and death. It's the detox phase. Because I know it from the past when I would, a lot of marriages, when people try to get healthy together and they start like super fasting and stuff like that. you know, you can go through some, like you said, emotional roller coasters, because as you said, your body starts eliminating all this guck, this yuck, and it starts detoxing, right? And you said this, the cells usually store it, and the way we're living right now, our cells probably don't even have a chance to detox, so they're just accumulating until eventually we either get, you know, sick, or in some other way it gets unloaded. So now, following your train of thought, we're adding healthy stuff to our body. Most probably because we're getting the taste for healthier stuff. Without knowing it, we're probably leaving out more unhealthy stuff because we're more satisfied. So, does this naturally put us after a while into some kind of detox state? And if yes, how would we? Because you said we have to establish the right detox channels, you know?
Yeah. Well, vegetables will help to do that. It's a lot more complicated to talk about detoxification. Again, it's like metabolic flexibility. It's better to isolate that. But in a nutshell, the benefits of adding vegetables and using a blender or something to make this delicious is really where I'd like to just keep everyone grounded. Get the first step. Like, when you can do the first step, the other things will actually, the body has the ability to heal itself when it's given the right conditions. And the vegetables enhance detoxification, but that's the right ones too. I don't want people thinking potato chips for breakfast is the vegetable that I'm talking about. It's the green leafies usually. And so that's where I just leave everyone with that one tip. If they can increase their green leafy vegetables, I'd say minimum 3 cups a day. Then start with that. A little bit of protein at each meal. They'd be doing themselves a favor. And just the recipe part can help. We'll talk about those with how to make it tasty and things like that. But the right tools will make the ingredients come together just much more quickly and easily as well.
Thank you very much, Sheridan. You guys, if you liked this, remember, you know the drill. Subscribe, give us some comments, ask some questions, because Sheridan's going to be here again next time and we can ask her those questions. So take care and, you know, keep healthy.